exactly 8:34 a.m. We're going to be looking at surviving the war, not the night. Women in the DRC trapped in relentless violence. Let's talk with Doctors Without Borders, and that, of course, is you, Monica Genya. You are the Association Director, MSF Southern Africa. And I think once again, we touch on the horrors of wars in Africa and the casualties, as always, being women and children. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
What is the psychology behind in every war situation, or rather most situations of war, that the women are the biggest casualties due to being violated and raped in huge numbers over and over again, even gang raped? And the very sad situation is a lot of those women then eventually fall pregnant through the rapes, and most of them then have no other option but to bear those children. You kind of wonder how they bond with those children. What does their psyches look like going forward once the war is over or even ongoing? But they are victims over and over and over again.
Yes, we are seeing that rape and sexual violence is more and more being used as a tool of war. And in Eastern DRC in North Kivu, we are seeing that the most vulnerable members of our community, children younger than 10 years old, women older than 70, and everywhere in between, are being violated and have nowhere safe to turn to. They're experiencing violence as they go about their daily activities, looking for food, gathering wood, trying to keep the families together, families alive, and there's just nowhere safe for them to be.
The sad reality is they're ongoing victims of their circumstances, because in the cases of women who then fall pregnant and then subsequently have those babies, that does that would be a stark reminder to them for the rest of their lives. That's the first part of my question. And then also let's look at the issue of rape being declared a war crime, but then it's very difficult to prove who, in fact, was the perpetrator, because in some instances, these defenseless women and girls are gang raped. And in that very fearful moment when this happens to them, I don't even think they can identify their perpetrators. So, how do they actually move forward?
Yes, there's a lot of trauma and ongoing trauma that is associated with this type of violence. And you're correct, it's really hard to identify and bring to justice the perpetrators of this violence. And MSF is very concerned with the mental health of the victims, and is providing mental health services, psychological caring for people who are, as you said, enduring ongoing trauma way after the actual act has taken place.
And if that's not enough, having being a victim of rape, repeated rape for that matter, we also know that large numbers of these women are unable to return to their areas of origin because they lack the resources to do so, or because their lands have been seized. This then again is like almost like ongoing violence, repeated violence on these women, because this then leads them to seek refuge with home families. And even these families that they do seek refuge with are not the warring party. They are once again victims of the male members of that family. What on earth is going on? And how do these women find some sort or sense of comfort and sanity under these very drastic situations?
Yes, the situation is very catastrophic. And you are correct. A lot of women are fleeing. A lot of women and children are fleeing, where where they thought was safe and going to families where they're hoping to be safe, and then encountering trauma again from male members of the families that they are staying with. And MSF is also trying to provide safe spaces for these women. They're trying to refer them to places where they can be safe, but we're not always able to access all the victims of sexual violence. And the numbers that we're seeing are completely overwhelming at the moment.
What are your support structures reporting back to you regarding these issues, the secondary trauma, and the fact that these women still have to try and make a life for themselves and their children? At the end of the day, it is those children, whether they are the children of the rapists or their own children from a marriage. We're also hearing these women, when they're being raped, if they are in the company of their husbands, the husbands, the sons, and the brothers then get killed before the women are being raped, killed before or after. So in some instances, they are made to watch the rape of their mothers and their sisters and their daughters. I'm kind of wondering what sort of a society are we expecting to be in going forward, if and when these wars do eventually end?
Yes, the situation is just unfathomable, and we have no idea the long-term effects that this will have on society going forward. And we are calling for all the warring parties to seize and to protect the most vulnerable members of the society. MSF is involved in treating cases. If we can get to victims within 72 hours of the attack, then we can give out post-rape kits, which provide medication, which try to prevent pregnancy, lower the risk of STDs and infections. And we know this is just the beginning. Of course, there's ongoing trauma, so we provide mental health treatment, and we ensure that women have access to ongoing mental health treatment going forward. Sometimes this treatment has to be extended to families as well. As you said, sometimes families are made to watch or they are killed. It is a horrific situation that at the moment does not seem like there's any end in sight.
Let's just look at the perpetrators in this instance. A lot of these women are victims of rape. Most of them are anyway, and they may have, in probably 99% of the cases, contracted STDs. They then passing it on to their perpetrators. So there's this vicious cycle going on, because these perpetrators go on and find other women to rape in a couple of days' time, in a couple of weeks' time. You're going to be having, post the war, we just hope and pray it will end, a lot of people presenting, both the perpetrators, the soldiers, including innocent civilians, will be presenting with these diseases. And we know that if the diseases are left unchecked and untreated, there are horrible consequences, as you've also indicated, huge impact on mental health and well-being. Is there a plan in place? I know that Doctors Without Borders have their hands full as it is. You just do not have enough personnel on the ground to deal with this. But is there some sort of a master plan going forward?
Well, MSF has been able to continue to provide the care that we set out to do, but we've seen a withdrawal and reduction of other NGOs in the area due to the war, but also due to the worldwide government aids cuts from the US as well as others. This has had a significant impact on humanitarian presence. So what we're asking for is international partners to return, to step up to support women and families, and thousands who are in urgent medical need. As you said, MSF at the moment, we're the only organization on the ground in this area, and we are very overwhelmed.
Absolutely. What about volunteers? Because of the war and because of the atrocities being perpetrated on the locals, would you say that your staff on the ground are also at risk?
Yes, absolutely. And the reality is MSF staff choosing to be on ground in situations like this understand that they are at risk, and go there anyway to be of service to communities that need us wherever we are. But yes, an amount of risk that is taken by volunteers who go into places that are at war, and we still appeal to humanitarian organizations to see how they can find their way back, to help this community that is really, really in need.
Volunteerism is a big thing as far as Doctors Without Borders are concerned, but I should imagine, as big as a humanitarian you might be, you also realize you're putting yourself at risk.
That is
Um,
correct.
what is your message out there to people who can come and become volunteers and make a difference, knowing that they're working in a danger zone?
Yes, I would say for those who wish to volunteer, this is one area that really, really needs as much help as we can give, as they can get. So I would still appeal to people who wish to volunteer to come and volunteer. Of course, all the risks will be explained up front, and for those who still take up the mantle and join us, are very welcome and sorely needed.
Monica, give us a picture of the work that Doctors Without Borders do carry out in, if I can use the word, normal circumstances. You go into a country in Africa or any other third world country where your services are needed, but it's not a conflict zone. And then let's compare it with a conflict zone and just how different those scenarios look, and how much it, you know, how much of a burden, mental and otherwise, it places on the volunteer workers.
Yes, we generally go to places that are remote, places where you won't find a lot of other resources, so that we can provide medical assistance. And the medical assistance will vary according to the needs on the ground, but we are talking about vaccination, immunization, in order to prevent disease outbreaks. We go to where there are disease outbreaks to try and control the spread and to give medical care. We will go to places where that have been affected by natural disasters like typhoons, mudslides, things like that, so that we can bring medical care. And normally, if there is no violence, we are able to do our work without hindrance and without fear, and to bring medical care to the patients and communities, you could say, in a normal way. Now, this same kind of outbreaks might take place, in fact, do take place in areas where there is violence as well. So we need to be able to continue to do our work, but this is compounded by the fact that the communities are in fear of their lives, and they are trying to survive the violence and also deal with medical needs at the same time. And we have to do the same.
And sadly, it's a double burden on Doctors Without Borders and other humanitarian agencies, because when you're in a conflict zone, it's not only the normal medical assistance that is required, like vaccinations and other normal day to day health issues. You're having to deal with the trauma of rape. Sexually transmitted diseases, the mental health issues that then presents on the poor victims, and the circle just becomes bigger, bigger, and more vicious. Um, Gosh, it's a huge task, is it not? Can we wrap up by you sharing a little more information on some, an important matter that I may not have touched on? And also, are you still, asking people to volunteer their services to Doctors Without Borders, specifically in conflict zones?
Yes, absolutely. We are still asking people to volunteer their time, to volunteer their expertise, their energy, and to join us in conflict zones such as eastern DRC in the North Kivu province, where, as we have said, the extremely high levels of sexual violence make it impossible not to try and reach out and help. For people who are not able to come themselves and to volunteer on the ground, you can volunteer to partner with us by giving us donations. If you visit our website at www.msf.org.za, you will be able to see the kind of work that we're doing and partner with us so that we are able to send the people who are able to go. And yeah, we urge that people do not turn a blind eye to what is happening in Eastern DRC.
Monica Genya, Association Director at MSF, thank you indeed for being with us on the show. And we do hope by way of this interview, people wake up and realize what exactly is happening in conflict zones, not only in Africa, but all around the world. And then either volunteer those people who are possibly retired, people from the medical fraternity. Even if you're retired, your services are sorely, sorely needed. You can make a difference. Monica, nice talking with you. God bless.
Thank you, and you too.
8:50 news and views moving along on this cold Monday morning, though we've been told by the weather services that by midday things should warm up and temperatures should be in the early 20s. Next up, we're going to be talking to the Benchmarks Foundation.